Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to be joined today by MPD Sergeant Trevor Arnold. He's the K-9 Program Coordinator. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
So you guys just had K-9 Kelso retire recently.
Yes, we did last week.
How many dogs do you guys have on the team?
So we have five dogs.
Okay, and I guess there's two different types, drug
Correct.
detection and pursuit?
Patrol.
Patrol,
Yeah.
okay. What kind of training do these dogs have?
So the patrol dogs really depends on how much training we get when we get them. The patrol dogs come usually with some training on using their nose, being able to sniff for people,
Sure.
and some bite work if we have to use them as a use of force option.
Mm-hmm.
The drug detection dogs, we tend to get them already imprinted with the odors that they're sniffing for.
Sure.
Because that's what we're using them for, is to sniff for drugs.
What kind of, does it take years to get this kind of training? Are you guys bringing them in as puppies? Are you training them yourself? How does that work?
Typically, when we're getting our dogs, they're not coming in as puppies. They're coming with a couple of years on already with some training.
Okay, and is there some farm in the Midwest where there's just thousands of dogs being trained in this stuff? How does that work?
No, there's vendors all over the country that we buy dogs for. Most of our dogs are actually come from vendors that are based here in the U.S., but they actually come from breeders in Europe.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think, at least for me, when I think of police canine dogs, I think of German Shepherds. Is that what you guys have?
So for our patrol dogs, we have two different kinds. We have one that's a German Shepherd, one that's a Belgian Malinois. And then of our 3 drug detection dogs, 2 of them are Springer Spaniels and 1 of them is a Malinois.
Interesting. Okay, now, do you guys ever kind of loan out or share? I imagine every agency has their own dogs, but you never know when somebody needs more scent dogs.
So not every agency has dogs. Most bigger agencies have dogs, but we don't lend them out. But if there's another agency that needs our assistance, like an officer makes a traffic stop, needs a drug detection dog to come sniff a car, and one of our drug dogs is on duty and they don't have one, we can go assist.
Interesting. Okay, now one thing that I only learned a couple years ago, probably because I'm in this business, is that these dogs go home with these officers. They're part of the family.
Yeah.
Has that always been that way, or I don't know, how does that work for a retired maybe dog like Kelso?
Yeah.
Does he stay with that officer at home?
So it's always been that way with our program. That's how most canine programs work. The dog is with the handler 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They go to work with them. When they're off work, they go home with the officer and they live with the officer and their family. Yeah, when a dog retires like Kelso, typically the dog will go home with the handler that worked with the dog while they were on duty.
Wow, okay, and these dogs, as we've been talking about, are very highly trained, so even the attack dogs, not the correct term, forgive me, even the dogs who are used in use of force situations, those are fine at home with kids. They're well trained.
Yeah, these are well trained dogs. Very obedient dogs. They get very familiar with the family, obviously.
Yeah.
Usually they're separated. They're not around other pets at home, but they're pretty comfortable with their families at home.
Fascinating. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
Much more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Medford Police Department Sergeant Trevor Arnold. We're talking about the K-9 program. You're the coordinator for the program. We're talking about all the training that the dogs that MPD has kind of go through. How much do these dogs cost the department?
So typically a dog that comes to us already, with the basic training, they can run us about $12,000.
Wow, yeah, well, considering all the training, the years of training that
Yeah.
goes into it, I guess that makes sense. What kind of training do the officers get who get these dogs?
So once a handler, a canine handler is selected to work with a dog and they're paired with the dog that they're going to work with, they go through a basic handler course. So that can be anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, enough to make sure that they can pass through the strict state standards to work as a canine team.
Interesting. What do you think is the biggest benefit to having dogs on the team? And because we were talking about during commercial break, not all local police agencies have dogs at all.
There's a significant advantage to having the ability of these dogs. These dogs can smell and sniff for things that the human nose just cannot find. We have someone who runs from like a vehicle pursuit or something, and the driver gets out of the car and takes off running, and we don't know which direction they went.
Yeah.
We're kind of stuck. It's difficult for us to find even a starting place to start looking, but we can bring a dog in, and a dog that's got this extremely sensitive, well-trained nose, they can put their nose to the ground and just start seeking out the path and oftentimes lead us right to the perpetrator.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How long do the canines, because you guys get them at a couple years old or 4 or 5 years old even, how long do they serve, if you will?
So depending on their health and the strenuousness of their job, so like a patrol dog typically will last maybe 5 to 7 years on patrol, if they stay healthy and and everything goes well for them. A drug dog, our Springer Spaniels, they have a longer longevity life, so more like 10 years.
Okay.
10 years is a really good stretch for a drug dog.
Yeah, interesting. All right, and so you guys actually give demonstrations at certain kind of events, kind of showing what these dogs can do. What kind of events do you guys visit?
We get public requests to come do events, people that want to meet the dogs, want to meet the handlers, so we'll do demonstrations at schools, demonstrations for community events, public safety fairs, things like that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for dropping by and breaking it down for us.
Thanks.
Fascinating.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.